"Breathe, little dove," Nama said as she stroked the feathers of the quivering bird in her hand. The storm had been traumatic for almost all the animals. In the first weeks of torrential rain, the cacophony on the ark of howls and screeches and screams was almost too much for Noah and his family to bear. But the birds had been particularly unnerved. Nested in their perches, unable to fly freely as the rains poured down for 40 days and 40 nights. Nama, Noah's wife, walked among the animal stalls every day to try and comfort them. Her name meant pleasantness, and she tried to be a calming presence, petting them and whispering reassuring words. When the rain stopped and the thunder and lightning ceased, some of the animals had calmed down considerably, but the birds still longed for freedom as the giant floating menagerie gently rocked and sailed the endless sea for months. Finally, the ark had come to rest on the top of a mountain. The swaying ceased and the most seasick land animals calmed as they slowly regained their equilibrium. But still, the waters did not recede and no one could leave the ark. They'd been trapped in the cramped quarters for more than 9 months. But Nama had learned to calm all the animals, and they in turn had come to trust her pleasant, reassuring presence. But one female dove remained inconsolable. Every time Nama picked her up, even though they were by now quite familiar to each other, the little white bird shook like a rattlesnake's tail. Nama knew that the dove was desperate for flight. This is why she had suggested to her husband that the dove could scout for dry land. Noah had liked the idea. He usually liked Nama's ideas. And so she petted the bird's head in the quiet of dawn before the dove's big day. And she held out a seed in her palm from her carefully guarded collection, an olive seed. "Don't swallow it," she said. "You may find only a very small patch of dry land, too small even for you to rest. But drop this seed there, and we shall see what grows." The tremoring bird picked up the seed from her palm. Then she brought the dove to Noah, who released her on her mission. A few days later, the bird returned empty-handed. Noah was disappointed. No dry land had been discovered. The seed was gone, and Nama quietly wondered if the dove had swallowed it mid-flight. A year ago, Noah explained to his wife how God had come to him and told him about the flood. Nama listened lovingly as Noah enthusiastically relayed the details of arks and measures of gopher wood and pairs of animals. It's not that she didn't believe him. She'd seen the behavior of her neighbors, though she had a hard time accepting that it had gotten as bad as Noah said. But who can argue with a husband who talks to God? And she was already thinking about how much work there was to be done. As Noah and his sons built their giant boat, board by board, cubit by cubit, Nama and her daughters-in-law set about collecting supplies, drying meats and berries, preparing styes and perches. When the animals started to gather in pairs at the foot of the ark, Nama had another idea. Why should animals and humans be the only living things they saved? So she started collecting seeds. From every plant she could find, acorns and apple seeds, pecans and pea pods, dandelions and daisies. She placed them in dry cloths and tied them tightly in bundles, sensing that she'd need them when the storm passed and the earth began to dry. She'd protected them all along the journey from curious squirrels and mischievous monkeys. Now she'd given away her first precious seed, and she didn't know how to feel, but the dove seemed calmer at least. A week later, Noah got it in his head to send the dove out again, and when she returned, this time with an olive branch clutched in her beak, Noah declared it a miracle. Nama just smiled. Noah had a habit of declaring things a miracle that had actually required quite a bit of work and planning. He'd said the same thing about the relative cleanliness of the bottom floors of the ark. It was a few more weeks before the water receded enough to finally lower the ramp and let everyone off the ark. After more than a year on the boat, the animals made a triumphant parade. The horses gallivanted, the turtles trotted, and the mice scampered, and all the birds soared, most especially the doves. But the humans, exhausted to their bones, trudged down the ramp onto a desolate earth. The animals could not comprehend the scale of the destruction that they had so narrowly avoided, but the humans could. The earth was empty. Not only of people, there were no trees, no bushes, no grasses even. Not even a breeze passed over the earth, just quiet stillness and mud. And so Nama set about planting seeds. Tenderly and gently she untied each package. Lovingly she placed each seed into the earth. Once again, Noah had it relatively easy. He let the animals go, and they took care of making more animals themselves. But Nama's task took hard work and attention. Her seeds required water and care, cultivation and kindness, and most of all, they needed patience. Some seeds can live in the earth for years before something green emerges. Nama taught this care and attention to her husband and her children, and soon her grandchildren too. According to our tradition, it was Noah's family who first invented the cultivation of plants. Before the flood, the fields were unkept and untamed. Now they were nurtured and nourished. God saw all that Nama had done, the ways she had cared so lovingly for the animals on the ark, the ways she had created the new art of sowing seeds, the ways she had brought verdancy and vibrancy and vitality back to the barren earth. And God wanted to give Nama a gift of gratitude, but God had never given a gift before. God had doled out some consequences, but never presents. So God thought for a very long time. Then God settled on an idea that would become one of God's favorite gifts for the people God cares about most. God gave Nama a new name. No longer will she be known only as Nama, pleasantness, but now she will also be called Emzera, mother of seeds. What do we do when the storm clouds gather? What will we do when the future seems uncertain? What will we do when the world around us seems unfamiliar and scary, when we don't know who to trust or who to believe? Do we build an ark, a place of safety for us and our families? Do we pull up the ramp and seal the door and pray that we can weather the storm? Or can we be like Emzera and gather seeds? There's a difference between faith and hope. Faith is the belief that things will get better. Hope is the conviction that if we work hard enough together, we can make things better. With faith, we trust in God or in other people to fix what is broken. With hope, we roll up our sleeves to get to the long and difficult work of repair. Faith requires letting go, a willingness to let your ship be blown whichever direction the wind takes you. Hope takes holding on. It takes planning and perseverance, vision and courage. Noah had faith. That's why he built the ark. Nama, Emzera, had hope. Gathering seeds is an act of hope. That was her response to upheaval and uncertainty. She gathered the seeds of future possibility. She collected the kernels of wisdom that she could cultivate later when the storm settled. She had faith that the storm would settle, but she needed hope to gather seeds. Picture a seed in your hand and pretend that you'd never heard of seeds, never seen such a thing in your life. Would you be able to look at that tiny pebble and imagine that it could grow into a beautiful orchid or a towering redwood? Could you imagine it could make a sweet pear or a piercing needle of a cactus? Could you picture any of the endless possibilities contained in such a tiny, seemingly insignificant thing? And yet, every seed is also a plant. Every seed has the potential to make beauty and shade and the very air that we breathe. If we are patient, but not just patient, we have to be like Emzera. We have to be persistent too. We cannot toss the seed on the ground and wish for the best. We have to dig the hole and place the seed inside and cover it and water it and guard it from pests. We cannot walk away from a seed if we want it to flourish. But the plant that grows from that seed may not bear fruit in our lifetime. Perhaps this is what Rabbi Tarfon means when he writes, "You are not responsible to complete the work, but nor are you free to abandon it." The seeds of possibility we plant today, the seeds of hope we sow today, they are promises we make to generations to come. On the eve of this election, as America decides what kind of country it will be, I see the storms on the horizon. Regardless of who wins this election, I feel the clouds in the sky darkening, and I have no idea how much rain they hold. Will the downpour be torrential? Will the waters rise? Will we be safe? Will our relationship with our neighbors ever be the same? So as I read the story of Noah this year, I'm lifting up Emzera, mother of seeds, matriarch of hope. What are the seeds we can gather now for a future of rebirth, a future of new growth, a future of vibrant life? Voting is one seed. Voting is a tiny thing. It can feel so small and insignificant. Will my vote among millions really make a difference? But like a seed, we cannot know what good will grow from our vote. It's a promise we make to the future we hope for, a better future for us and our children. What are the other seeds that you can gather in this moment? Seeds of hope for a future after the storm has subsided and the water has receded. What are the kernels of kindness and creativity and generosity that you hope to sow in the days and weeks and months to come? What do you need to do to protect those seeds, to keep them safe and dry in the rain? What are the resources you will need to plant those seeds and cultivate them? Who will you gather to work with you as you help those seeds to sprout, and grow? In times of storm and struggle, let us remember that we are descendants of Emzera, the mother of seeds. We are the fruit of the promise planted long ago by our ancestors, and we are the farmers of a future we cannot yet see, but which we have seeded for our descendants. May God bless these seeds of hope, and through our effort and God's partnership, may they blossom and grow. Shabbat Shalom.